I'm really so happy. We've got Karen Carbone, who, besides being a really, really nice person, she's an incredibly talented actor, commercial model. She's done a lot of theater. She's also done some really interesting things that I want to share with you. Because these are ideas and different aspects of the industry you might not know that much about, but you definitely want to. And she also has her own entertainment company, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later as well. So let me first start off by first welcome, Karen. I'm really glad you could be here.
Well, thank you, Aaron. I'm very pleased that you have me on, and always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks. Hey, so let me start off with something called stand-in work. I mean, everybody knows about, actors being on sets. People know about extras. They might not really know much about what stand-in means, what stand-ins do, how they get paid, and what their job description is. So would you fill us in a little bit on what exactly is a stand-in?
Sure. A stand-in is basically the actor or actress who stands in for the star while they're adjusting the lights, they're moving the furniture, they're working out the blocking. So usually for stand-ins, they try to get an actor or actress who is the same basic skin color, hair color, height, weight, size as the actual, superstar, and they'll rehearse the scene with the real actors, and the stand-in will come in, stand on their marks, sometimes go through the lines while they're adjusting the cameras and the lights so that the star can be getting their hair done, their makeup done, any last touch-ups, rehearsing lines, whatever they need to do, so they're not taken out of the moment and having to do all the menial stuff.
And so do you actually have to physically look like the principal actor in the project?
I think that really depends on how picky the director is. I've stood in for people that I'm just their same height and weight and size. I've been on go-sees to be a stand-in before where they are so picky, that they'll want you to dye your hair. If it's a little different shade of blonde or it has more red, they'll want someone with the same length hair. Other times, I've stood in for people who are female and of a different race on the last minute just because they need a body. So if you're standing in for a whole film, um, usually it's for the main character for a whole film, they really do like you to look somewhat like them. It just makes their job easier if you are similar in size and shape and color when the real actress comes in. So
And how does it work with wardrobe? Do you wear similar wardrobe that the principal actor is wearing?
you do. Basically, for stand-in, you want to show up in something that's kind of neutral. But when you get up to set, you'll report to the wardrobe trailer, and they'll give you what's called your color cover. If the actress in the scene is wearing navy blue, they might give you a navy blue cardigan just to throw on. Or if they're wearing brown, they might give you something brown or tan or whatever they have. If the person's wearing a bathing suit, they may have you in a skinny, tank top. I was standing in for a girl one time, and she had on a long evening gown, so they put me in a full length slip, and there I was walking around in a slip over my jeans, but on top. So if it's going to matter to the lighting, yeah, they will go with the material, but it's close, it's similar.
And how do you get that kind of work?
Well, you have being the right size helps and look. I mean, if you're signed up with your local casting agencies, the people who generally book the extras also book the stand-ins, unless of course it's a production that say is out in Hollywood and then they're coming to DC for or wherever you happen to be for a couple weeks. They may bring their own stand-ins. For example, Tom Cruise has his own stand-in who does most of his movies. Morgan Freeman has his own stand-in that's on Team Freeman that does all of his movies. And these guys really, do look like them. So if you're signed up with agencies who are booking the background for that project, most likely they're looking for the stand-ins as well.
And do you have to have much in the way of acting skills in order to be a stand-in?
Personally, I think it helps. Whenever you're standing, they'll give you what's called the sides, which is the lines that they're going over for those scenes for the day. So a good stand-in, you take your pencil and you write down the blocking with each line as they're going through it. You're watching the stars do the rehearsal. I personally take notes, on when she says this word, she crosses here. I've done stand-in jobs where myself and the other stand-in have played out the entire scene. Most of the directors are really thankful, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I mean, you guys can act too." And and then other times, they don't want you to do that. Hey, you stand over there. That's where she is. Okay, get out of here. So it really depends on the production and the director, I guess.
Now, when
So,
you
but
talk about blocking,
he's a good actor.
could you just kind of explain in a little bit more detail exactly what you mean by blocking?
Oh, sure. Blocking is your directions. You always start at one. Whenever anyone says back to one, that's you go back to the first spot that you were set by the ADs, the assistant directors. So if my blocking is we're doing a scene and I say, you know, what do you mean, Harry? Why didn't you take the laundry out? And then I'm supposed to cross over to the room, grab the laundry basket, and throw it out the second story window. And the actress on the word why didn't you throw the laundry out? She crosses that way, picks up the laundry basket and pitches it. That's your blocking. Crossing over there, picking up the laundry basket and throwing it over to the out the window. So you're blocking your directions, your stage directions, your actions, your movements.
And so basically, so is that considered being a kind of like a glorified extra, as far as the pay goes?
Actually, the pay is better. I'm not quite sure what the SAG rates are these days, but it is.
I know it used to be about $15
Yeah,
more
they're like 15
per
to
8 hour
20.
day than what a regular extra gets.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but I guess the real advantage is, you're going to be on the set as long as the actor that you're standing in for is working that day.
exactly, exactly. And if you're working on a whole movie and you're for the star, you're going to pretty much be there every day. You're going to get some good hours in. Doing stand-in work, I find, is also a great opportunity to watch how film and television is made because you are working one-on-one with the director and the DP, the director of photography. They're positioning you and getting you right. You're working with them on a first name basis. They know you. And when you do, I mean, I've gotten bumped up and been given lines when I've been a stand-in. It's a chance for you to show that you are professional, that you can show up every day, you can be prepared, you can do your job, you can do it well, you pay attention, you follow direction, and a lot of times they notice that. And if they need one director told I was standing in for Renee Zellweger on a whole film, and they said, "Hey, tomorrow we have a scene, and I need someone who can not just stand there, but who can really act and maybe make up a couple lines. And I think you can do that, Karen." And I was like, "Well, thank you for noticing, hair director." So it was great. So I got upgraded, and I became a principal. So it
Wow.
was it was wonderful, and they let me kind of make up my own dialogue, and it was dialogue with Kevin Bacon. So can't complain on that. And sure, some of it did get cut in the final scene, but there I am in the credits as a principal, and I'm getting my residuals.
You
And
know,
that
the, and
wasn't the role that they were going to audition for, but they needed somebody, and boom, I was there, and they knew I was professional, can do it. So, bam, lucky me.
Well, the other thing too is, and because when I've done some stand-in work, it also it gives you an opportunity to watch some phenomenal actors
Oh,
up close
amazing.
because you are standing right there the entire time while they're shooting, and you can watch their preparation. You can listen to what the director is saying to the actor, and you're right. I mean, you really learn so much about not only the production, whether it's a TV show or a film, but also just how actors get prepared and do their lines. And it's
Exactly.
pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, your job is to stand there until they come over and kind of like, tap you out. And then you go. Really. And then your job is to stay there right off camera and when they're blocking and watch them rehearse. It's your job to take notes, like we said, marking it down on the sides. And I mean, it's amazing to watch just the process of some of these actors and actresses, and it's really different, but I always learn something every time I do stand-in work.
And it really seems like as long, like you were saying, as long as you're responsible, you make yourself available there. There was one time I did see a stand-in get fired only because they kept calling, we're called the second team when you're
Hmm.
doing stand-in work, and they said, okay, second team in. And this guy, he was hanging out by craft services where they have all the snacks and the food and stuff, and they kept calling and the guy wasn't there, and they just said, we can't work this way, and they fired him and they found another stand-in. So it seems like once you're in, on the project, as long as you're responsible, you're not doing unprofessional things, you can really, be
Exactly.
there for a period of time.
Yeah, be smart. Yeah, there was a second teamer who fell asleep one time and they were calling him and he never got invited back.
Yeah,
So it's a shame because that's gonna follow your reputation throughout your whole career.
yeah.
That casting company, that agency that hired you, gonna say, well, why did he get fired? Oh, well, he was at Crafty. He was on his cell phone. He took a picture. He fell asleep. So that's going to make you look bad for every future project that agency does. So I mean, be smart, be professional.
Yeah.
This is a great opportunity to learn. So behave.
So to move on to stunt work, because that is cool. I mean, really, how many people, get a chance and have the skills, the ability, to be able to do stunt work? So maybe like, when we think of stunt work, quite often we think of, people, jumping off of bridges and, setting themselves on fire and doing, a lot of crazy things. But there's a lot of other stunt work that really could be available to other people once you learn, how to do it and what you need to do. So, hey, would you just kind of, let people know what other kinds of stunt work is available out there?
Sure. I mean, one of the biggest cautionary things I tell people, everyone says, "Oh yeah, I do stunts," and you say, "Well, what have you done?" And they said, "Well, I can do a cartwheel or something like that." I mean, you do need to, which sometimes yes, they bring gymnasts in to do flips, and that is a stunt person, but you do need to have some specific background and some training. I remember looking at one of the local SAG books once, and I looked under stunt performers in the back, and there were all these names listed. And I was going through the names, going, you know, how is that person a stunt work? And so you can't just say, oh yeah, I'm a stunt guy. So you do need to have the physicality and the knowledge and the experience, but it's kind of a catch-22. How do you get your first stunt job? Well, from another stunt job. Did that even answer your question?
Yeah, no, but also I know, like, for instance, when we were working on an independent film together, and you also got hired not only to be play my wife, but also you got hired to do a stunt, and
Yeah,
basically you had to get hit by a car,
I got hit by a car and broke the
which
windshield.
was
It was beautiful. Yeah, yeah.
so how in the world do you learn how to get hit by a car?
Right. Well, honestly, during that shoot, that was the first time I did a full-on car hit like that. I mean, this was a car came and I was standing there in the road and the car came and I fly up and I bump through the windshield and then roll over the hood, roll down the back and get splatted in the street. And then there's this crane shot of me all mangled and looking, whacked out.
It looked great, by the way.
Yeah, it did. It did. It was awesome. And I remember especially, telling them, whose car is this? Because we're gonna break this windshield. And they were like, oh, it's one of the PAs. And I'm like, does he care? Because you're gonna put 100-pound person in through a windshield, going, 10 miles an hour. It's gonna break. But that was the first time I had done that, which brings the importance of the stunt coordinator. The stunt coordinator on that was somebody that I had worked with before, who I knew and trusted. And yeah, I may not have done a car hit before, but I was trained to know how to take hit and take falls. You have to be physically in shape to take that stuff. And of course, you're padded, but you have to know how to fall. There's right ways to fall, there's wrong ways to fall. So just take all that in consideration. And there is always the risk of getting hurt.
And so where does somebody go to try to learn how to do that?
Well, there are several, stunt schools out there where you can go, and it's a several-week program, and they'll teach you how to do fire burns and falls and squibs and all sorts of things.
Excuse me, would you explain what squibs?
Oh, sure. A squib is like when they're gonna give you a gunshot. It's a little explosive device that if I'm squibbed up here, and you know somebody like John Leguizamo got to shoot me in the neck and the leg one time, so I was squibbed. So he's pointing the gun at me, and he fires his fake gun, and there's an electrical charge done by the special effects guy that makes this blow up, and then the little blood packet, explodes, and then you react. So it's you do feel the force. It's a little explosion, but a squib is one that's attached to your body.
And so there are schools around where you can learn how to do all this.
Yeah, they kind of give you like a crash course in a little bit of everything the stunt schools do. There's also a friend of mine has a stunt driving school up in the New Jersey, New York area that you can go and take a hardcore class on it, and they take you on a track and they tell you how to do, stops and turns and 360s, and how to crash a car safely and how to drive a car safely.
Because I know that you also do precision driving,
Hmm.
and now and that's also under the stunt umbrella?
Yeah, I guess you could say it's under the stunt umbrella. Usually there's, and that's kind of a strange area, but there are precision driving teams and group of people who can. We have your extras and you have your background drivers. When they say we need a background with car and you're going to park your car on the street or you're just going to drive down the street, that's usually just background driving. And if you are lucky enough to own the right color and car that they're looking for that movie, great, you get the job and you get your $35 for bringing your car. Precision drivers involves more skill. You need to be able to drive safely with the stunt cars. So if there's a scene where there's a stunt car and it's going to be weaving in and out, they might not have 20 stunt drivers, or they'll have the 20 stunt drivers here, but then way down the road and way in front of it, they'll have some precision drivers. So people who know what they're doing can, do the exact same, do the scene and then back up your car and end up on the same mark you started and do that 15 times in a row without it taking forever. So precision
And
driving,
hopefully not getting hit by the stunt car.
right, right. Don't get hit by the stunt car. Don't hit anybody else. So it's definitely steps above background driving. It's a couple steps under stunt driving.
Got it.
But
But then there are things like, falling down the steps. I mean, I've been on sets where so that's also under the stunt umbrella as well.
yeah, definitely, That's all stunts, or it should be.
That's cool.
If it's
Hey,
not,
now
it's very few people.
I got to ask you about this before we move into jobs through entertainment companies like yours. Just really quickly, I mean, you have a top secret clearance, which,
Mhm.
I mean, that's really pretty cool. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that would love to learn, what does acting have to do with getting a top secret clearance? I mean, why would you need a top secret clearance if you're going to be an actor?
Well, in the market that I live in, which is the DC area, there's lots of government work, a lot of FBI projects, CIA projects, things that deal with classified information, but yet they have to make these training videos or voiceover computer programs that involve this secret information, and they don't want to have. A lot of times, they don't want to have their own agents who already understand and know about it because they can't act and sound as good as us professionals can. So they need to, they need to hire an actor who can make it sound real, make it sound natural, make it sound right. So that's how I got my clearances. I was doing some work for the CIA, and they said, "Hey, we want to use you for this project, and it involves a secret clearance. So you have to be sponsored by a group, a production company, or a government group that sponsors you. It's a very, very involved process, and it's not cheap. It costs them thousands and thousands of dollars to do a clearance. They're doing a background check. They talk to your neighbors. When you get to the top secret level, there's polygraphs. They really dig deep. There's a stack of papers this thick to fill out to get it. So a lot of people say, "Hey, where do I go to sign up for one of these clearances?" Well, it's not that easy.
Uh-huh.
Someone has to want you to make them want you, and then you get your clearance, and it does have to be renewed every few years too. So
That's
once you get
cool.
it cleared, you have to stay good and be good and can't be bad because Uncle Sam is watching.
Hey, now as far as your entertainment company goes, because that's another really interesting way for actors and models to try to get, different types of jobs. What kind of things can you offer an actor, and a model as far as employment goes?
Wow, we can anything. As I always tell people in my company, don't ask us to cook for you or strip for you, but we can do everything else. So everything. Sorry, I hope there's no children listening. Um, we employ everybody from very artsy people like airbrush artists to do airbrushing on clothing, airbrush tattoos, henna artists, character artists, artists who are just going to go paint in the middle of a party, pyrographer artists who are just going to burn the wedding portrait of the couple into a piece of wood while the party's going on. So artists like that, we can use. Face painters, clowns, contortionists, gymnasts, psychics, all that type of stuff. But as far as, people who are just actors and might not know how to face paint or turn themselves into a pretzel or burn something into a piece of wood, we do have a lot of impersonator jobs. So if you happen to look like Michael Jackson or Marilyn Monroe or Halle Berry or Justin Bieber, send me your stuff. I can get you work. And then there's the ones that are just kind of more generic things. We need people to play paparazzi all the time. So if you're a guy that has a fedora and a trench coat and can put on a suit and can go up and improvise with people, and as people are coming into a party, you say, hey, I saw your last movie, it was great, what was it like working with Oprah? Just being funny and clever and improving.
Uh-huh.
A lot of the acting work that we use actors for is improv. It's interacting with people. It's being a character, whether you're in an Elmo suit or in a paparazzi outfit, or you're just a crazed fan, or you're a 50s diner waitress, or we need people from Grease and you're a greaser or a pink lady. You need to be able to work a room and do your thing in character.
And so people can learn more about what your needs are and whether they have things that they can offer you just by going to your website.
Yes, if you go to carboneentertainment.com, that's carboneentertainment.com, check out our services page. You can see all the things that we offer, because it's really too much to mention. Been very blessed. We offer all sorts of things now. And if you go to the contact page, there's even a little line that says, hey, are you talented? If so, send us your stuff and we'll put you to work. So
Cool.
yeah, send us pictures. Let us know what you do. Let us know what you'd like to do. Let us know what you've done, who you look like, what you can do, what experience you have. Send us a resume. And if you're in the DC area or beyond, we work Baltimore, Virginia, all the way down to Richmond, all the way out to West Virginia, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. And,
Well, I guess the helpful thing too is no matter where you're living, because you never know where a phone call might come in for a job, and then that would give you access to people in many different markets if they, submitted themselves to you.
Yeah, exactly. And, we do some casting sometime too. So it's always good to have, people in our just people in our stable, so to speak. But yeah, people have
Cool.
taken us to Chicago before. We have a woman who just called the other day wanting us to go out to Seattle and do stuff. So you never know.
That sounds great. Hey, Karen, listen, I know we have to wind things up here, and I want to make sure that there is some time for questions. So first of all, thank you so much. I just wanted to ask Joel, are there any questions that people have?
Absolutely, Aaron. We got a couple that came in. Let's try to get to some of these if you guys don't mind. So we've got a question from Mandy. She lives in Virginia. She asks, what would happen if I booked a job with an entertainment company and then a regular acting or modeling job was offered to me for the same day? What do you suggest I should do?
Take the entertainment job. No, I mean, as an actor, and most of the people that we employ are actors. So if we have somebody lined up, say, to be, Cinderella at a birthday party, then they call me and they say, oh my gosh, Karen, I just booked a SAG commercial. What do I do? Me being an actor and, relying on SAG work for my insurance and things like that, of course, my heart says, well, okay, we'll try and replace you, take the SAG work. But it would be your responsibility to find a replacement for yourself and give the entertainment company as much notice. Other entertainment companies might not be so understanding, but me, since that's my background, I understand. I mean, if you told me that, hey, I want to go do this day of extra work, and I'm like, well, you're going to make that much in an hour working for me. Why are you going to do that? It just depends on what your reason is. But
I can tell you, although it's not the exact same thing with an entertainment company, but I have been in situations where I've gotten, basically two bookings on the same day. And I guess what I do is, and I think it's all about communication, and I always call back the first agent that I've booked the job
right,
with, and I let them know, I say, look, I am going to be committed to doing this job, but if there is any way of changing things around, replacing me, I'd really appreciate you doing that. But I do want to let you know, if that's not possible, I will do it. And I have lost some money doing that. And I think besides the fact that I think it's a good way to run your business, the other thing too is,
polite, yes.
and yeah, I mean, the other thing too is, if you pull out like that with an agent a couple of times, then they're going to be very afraid to want to book you in the future. So, actually, that's a good question. Joel,
Yeah,
do we have time
that's
for?
exactly the right thing to do, Aaron. You said it much better than I did. Always call the first person and said, hey, I just got this other offer. and explain yourself. And as long
Yeah.
as if you call them up and say, hey, I need to bail, or you make up some excuse, karma's going to get you right in the butt. And yeah.
So I just want to try to squeeze a couple more questions if we can. Bruce from North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina asks, how do I find out if a stunt person is needed on a film?
There's several different ways. There is a publication called The Stunt Contact that you can subscribe to. It's an annual fee. I think it's around $300, between $300 and $400. And once a month, you get emailed a list of everything that is in production and pre-production, where it's shooting, what's it about, who's in it, and who the stunt coordinator is, and how to submit for that project. So subscribing to the Stunt Contact is a great way to do it. Since you're in North Carolina, Bruce, that's the way I would suggest. Out on the West Coast, there are, there's stunt services. There's phone services there's hotlines for stunt, because obviously there's more film production work out there than there is out here. But and just get to know, keep your ears out, talk to your local union, see what movies are coming, get the number for the production office, send your stunt headshot and resume to the production office and put, attention stunt coordinator. Put a nice cover letter, don't just send your headshot, be polite, and hopefully somebody will at least interview you. And one stunt job usually leads to another. Once you prove that you are good, just like we said with stand-in work, it'll lead to more work.
Okay. Thanks, Karen. So just want to remind people that if you have questions that we didn't get to, we're going to try to get one more question in here. But if you didn't get a question answered, Aaron's going to stick around at the end of the day to answer as many as he can. So keep those questions coming, and there'll be more instruction on how to ask more questions. Gail from Austin, Texas asks, if I were cast for stand-in work, how long could I expect to work on the TV show?
Good question, Gail. It depends really on whom you're standing in for. If you're standing in for one of the leads, hopefully play your cards right. They'll keep you on for the whole run. If you're standing in for a day player, somebody who is just working one day with a principal role, you might just be there for that one day. So it really depends on, who you are standing in for.
Thank you so much, Karen. This is great.
Oh, thank you. And send me your stuff.